aren't being picked up. So can I get some response from some of the panel members about how many objections to a project should trigger a review of these planning permits? In other councils, it's only one objection to trigger a council decision. Here, it's 10, and 10's an awful lot if you actually have quite a serious issue that you want dealt with, like open space, which is obviously more important as our density increases. These shared spaces become so critical to our lives. Let's pick up on some people who haven't had a chance to have a say.
Thanks. You said it might be a small issue. It's not a small issue. It's an incredibly important issue because, as you were saying, with increased density, things like open space become a really fundamental element of what we need to do when it comes to managing this sort of change in Brunswick in a sustainable way. You talk about the way in which the community should be involved. 10's outrageous, 10's ridiculous. If the community is not engaged with this change, then you are going to continually get developments that are too big, that are not adequately resourced with open space, they're not adequately resourced with services, they're not adequately resourced when it comes to traffic, when it comes to parking. The current processes around community engagement and community consultation are sorely lacking. I was talking to somebody who was on the Sustainability Advisory Group. They thought that they were on that group so that they could participate in decision making. Apparently they were on that group so that they could be lectured by council. If the community is not permitted to engage in this conversation, then how can we trust that we're going to get the sort of development and the sort of infrastructure around those developments that the people who move into those developments deserve, and the people who live here already also deserve?
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is...
Can we just focus the conversation too around the planning issue?
Yes, certainly. It's what we're talking about, you know, 1 or 10. It also represents that more and more things are being devolved to the council, the professional staff of the council, and not the councillors themselves. And so, in a sense, it's the councillors become a kind of rubber stamp to the apparatchiks of the council, and that's the thing that I think this sort of thing represents.
Okay. Yes. No. I agree. Perhaps 10 is too much in regards to delegations. Our delegation powers were stronger. We have been made stronger over the last year to also include things like buildings over the structure plan, something that I've advocated for, because I remember having a staff member approve something at 14 stories not long ago without even asking councillors. Was highly inappropriate. So we need to look at our delegations again. We need to make sure that more decisions are made by councillors, and I've been a big advocate of that.
Samantha, do you have a little comment on that?
I also sit on a board of a community organisation, and when you have decisions like this where you've got to manage a few competing interests, you've got to weigh up all the sides of the argument, I believe. I think there are a few things here. One, we do want to make it easier for people to have a say over planning issues. We want to increase transparency and the consultations, and we want to increase the engagement. We also want to be able to manage the workload of an organisation like the council. So potentially, one side of the argument is that if you lower the trigger number, you've got a greater number of applications that go to council staff. Can this council manage that volume increase in work? Those things have to be managed. There's another side of this, I think, as well. I've heard from residents who say that the current information that they're given about objecting to a planning development for them has been inadequate. They weren't told that the 10 objections were needed to trigger the next level of review and assessment. So this might be actually a question about are the processes adequate in the first place before then going and revising all the baseline of the process, going fundamentally reforming the process. So I think we need to look at this from a number of angles, but I definitely agree with the principle that we have to make it easier for people to be able to have a say in these issues.